Well, it looks like Mike Carney has won the elections for Prime Minister in Canada. He was facing Pierre Poilievre, and I think we need to take a look at a recent rally at one of Carney's rallies to understand some of his comments and how Pierre was looking to attack this issue of rising anti-Semitism in Canada. Please watch both videos, they are very important, and let's talk about it after.
Mr. Carney, there's a genocide happening in Gaza. Thank you.
The man stopped him and said, Mr. Carney, there is a genocide happening in Gaza.
Thank you, Diana. I'm aware, which is why we have an arms embargo.
He said, thank you, Diana, I'm aware, this is why we have an arms embargo.
My question is the same one I'm hearing from Jewish voters I've spoken to. With the NDP and the Liberals making their stances known, how will the Conservative government deal with Canada's Israel policy, and what will you do to stop the near-weekly hate marches on Canadian streets?
Thank you. This is a very important question. The rampaging chaos that we see in our streets, the targeting of synagogues and Jewish schools with hate, vandalism, violence, fire bombings of synagogues, these things were unheard of 10 years ago. We've always had debates and disagreements about foreign issues in Canada, but those disagreements did not spill into violence on our streets. People left the violence abroad. That's why they come to this country, is to live in peace and in freedom, so that disagreements can play themselves out in debate, not in fire bombings and physical violence. The Jewish community feels understandably under siege as these hate marches and anti-Semitic outbursts have become an unfortunate part of Canadian life. And frankly, the Liberals have encouraged these divisions. We see what they do. They say one thing to one group and then exactly the opposite to another group. They turn Canadians against Canadians, and they've been doing it for 10 years. And what is the consequence? 251% increase in hate crimes. 251. Now, to be clear, we can't blame all of that on the October 7th attacks, because there was already more than 100% increase in hate crimes before those attacks occurred. This is the direct result of radical liberal policies and divisive rhetoric that has driven our people apart. We will end that. We will bring in tougher laws to target vandalism, hate marches that break laws, violent attacks based on ethnicity and religion. Anyone who's here on a visitor visa who carries out law breaking will be deported from this country, and there will be very serious jail time, and on top of that, fines for anyone who carries out anti-Semitic vandalism or property damage. We need to unite our people. We need to get back to the country we used to have with regards to bringing people together. Used to be that people would come from around the world. They live in peace. They might have different political opinions. They might even squabble about those opinions. But they didn't throw rocks at each other. They didn't firebomb each other's businesses. They didn't break glass. That wasn't how it was in Canada. We need to heal those wounds and bring our people together again so that everyone from every background feels safe. My closing message on this to Canada's Jewish community is you are not alone. You have friends. Canadians stand with you. You have the right to wear your Star of David, your kippah, and have your mezuzah on your door. You should feel proud to be Jewish, and you should never have to hide your Jewishness in order to stay safe. And as your Prime Minister, I will fight for your safety, your security, and your acceptance every single day. Merci beaucoup.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
So I just want to walk you guys through an article here in the Jerusalem Post regarding the comments at Carney's election. So, sorry, there's a couple of advertisements here. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney stirred controversy in recent weeks with comments that were critical of Israel ahead of his election for the premiership on Monday. During a campaign event in the build-up to the general election, Carney was asked a question about the situation in Gaza and responded, quote, "I know, that's why we have an arms embargo," while referring to restrictions on arms exports to Israel. Carney later course, because this is what politicians always do, tried to clarify that he hadn't fully heard the question but continued to criticize the halting of humanitarian aid to Gaza. Carney's Liberal Party was ultimately successful in the election, gaining enough parliamentary seats to form a minority government. These remarks are connected to the ongoing crisis between Canadian Jews and Canada's Liberal Party, once considered their political home. It seems that despite the leadership change, the problem persists. Now, I'll be honest with all of you. I grew up in a pretty democratic house. My views tend to be very liberal, especially about social causes. And over time, as I've grown up and I've matured and I've gotten exposed to other parts of the world and also living in Israel, I don't even consider myself just far-right Republican or far-left liberal. I actually tend to not even talk about politics because I really don't like them, because all they do is create more dissonance between people. But there are a few non-negotiable variables that I have as a person on my priority list. Being Jewish, in the way that Jews are treated, in the way that anti-Semitism is fought, in the way that politicians and community leaders and mayors and governors and local peace builders try to take what they have in their power and their control and fight this issue of anti-Semitism, fight this issue of radical anti-Israel ideology, fight this issue of the safety and the acceptance of people like me. That is at the top of my list. You can't have several non-negotiables, and negotiables that in that bucket consist of the first priority and the main priority for a far radical liberal person, and the first priority and the main priority for a far radical Republican person, when these ideologies tend to clash. I'm not saying that Mike Carney is totally anti-Israel, but when he's trying to rally up the troops and trying to get people to vote and trying to respond to comments like this, because it absolutely is a political game, please do not be fooled. He knows that there were these articles written, he knows that the media is watching, and he knows that he has to do whatever he can to get more votes, and ultimately it won for him. This is, by the way, where I think Kamala Harris really lost in the election against, and running for president against Trump. She didn't go on Joe Rogan, she didn't go on other podcasts and other streamers and call a spade. Trump understood the power of attention and where people's attention lies. And it is true that a lot of our attention today is on social media and on the phone and on TikTok and on YouTube and on streams and on podcasts. And Joe Rogan had on Elon Musk and Trump back to back. And they gained more views in 24 hours on that podcast than CNN would be able to pull in over a week of live television. And so if I can watch the politicians play the political game, their politician game, Mike Carney's doing a really good job of getting whose vote? Who did he do a really good job of getting the vote for? The liberals. In America, the far left is also the big issue of those who are not wanting to fight anti-Semitism, but those wanting to stir it up even more and instigate it and endorse those who are actually doing the fighting across the ocean back where I live. I didn't see a lot of rhetoric come out of Kamala's mouth about what even Pierre just laid out there, of what he would do, welcoming all the Jews to wear their Magen David, their Star of David, their kippot, their tzitzit. I love that language. Does that mean that I'm a big fan of Pierre? No. Does it mean that I'm a big fan of Trump? No. I've never been a big Trump guy. I just told you I came from a Democratic house. This is how I was raised. And I'm being honest with you. There's no need to sugarcoat anything. I still will continue to say that Israel is the only place on planet Earth where being a Jew is not a liability. There are so many places across the world that would disagree with my statement because of what they see through the news and what they see through the media. It is the only place in the world, the only place, not Canada, not America, not South America, not Australia, not Africa, not the Middle East as a region. It's the only place, the only small place in the world where being a Jew is not a liability. With the war, with the missiles, with the sirens, with what's going on in the north, with what's going on in the south, with what's going on everywhere in the world. Well, you know what? I wonder how the Canadian Jewish community is going to feel now. because I can tell you that the American Jewish community has felt better since November, since January. They felt better. So these people that are continuing to incite violence against them and their communities, they've gotten a little bit of a clergy pass and a little bit more of comfort zone here in Canada to be able to continue and maybe expand on what they've been doing before. That to me is a non-negotiable, and that to me is not okay. Thank you so much for your support. I hope everyone in Canada is doing well. The Jewish community, please stand strong. You do have friends, you do have allies, and you know what? You have space over in Israel. We'd love to have you. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. If you want to continue the conversation, you can support my work for free. Discord does not cost a thing. It is the best way to connect with me and others who are seeking the truth. The link is in the description. But if you want to take it one step further, my Patreon gives you access to the Israel you don't see, uncovering the untold stories of what mainstream media does not show you. The link is in the description, and it helps me to continue this work. Or if you're just looking to help this thing go, PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee is a really easy way to support me. This channel, this work does not happen without all of you. Thank you. I love you. I'll see you next time.